Hey guys, and welcome back to Daily Dev channel. Today's video about Docker Compose. Docker Compose is basically a way that you could run multiple Docker containers in one command and manage them, and also watches them as a services, and offers even more than that, where you could define all what you need for every single container inside that Docker Compose file, which is basically a YAML file, as we will see in the next couple minutes. There you could define the Docker file you need to build for every single container and add environment variables, volumes, and all of that. We will not go through all of that today. I will just demonstrate the simplest form of a Docker file and how we could use a simple example of a Docker file that we have used in the previous video to run a hello.py with the Docker Compose. If you haven't seen the video of a Docker file, please go back and watch it. I would highly recommend doing that, because that will simplify for you to know the difference between using Docker alone or Docker Compose. As usual, there's prerequisites. You must have a Docker installed on your machine, and a Docker must be up and running. You must have a Docker Compose installed on your machine. This is an addition you need to do for this video from the previous video. And a side note, you can download and install Docker from docker.com, it's also, you need to download and install Docker Compose from the following link if you don't already have it. To check if you have it or not, you just need to go to the terminal and type Docker Compose, and that will tell you. If you see here the options of the commands you could use with the Docker Compose, meaning you have Docker Compose installed. So let's really quick review the Docker file we have from the previous video, which is a really simple Docker file, not complicated. This is one of the simplest form, where we only are grabbing the Python image and creating a directory and set it as the main directory, or directory that the container will use, and then we are copying all the files, or here we're specifying actually the file hello.py to be copied from your machine to the container, to say the container under this path. In the previous video, we just built this image and we ran this file. Simple Python file has only one line to print hello from Docker container. To use Docker Compose, we will need to create one more file. First, we will need to cd to this directory by typing cd, and you could just simply drag and drop here, click enter. We are inside this folder. Let's have it here so we could watch what we are doing, and I'll make the fonts bigger for you guys. Now we will create a file, call it docker-compose.yaml. It's a YAML file. It's really readable. You could understand every single line by just looking at it. And for this file, the first line we need to write is the version of this document. There are multiple versions you could use to write the Docker Compose. You have to specify it as the first line. So Docker Compose, when you run it, Docker Compose will understand how to read this file. I'll use version 3, and in the next line we have to say we have services, which is basically the containers that we will be running as a service. So we could manage them with one line. With YAML, you have to use spaces. If you use tabs, that will break. Docker Compose will not build a file unless if you have your tabs doing spaces. So I just put 2 spaces, and we'll define the service name. In this case is my Python, or whatever you want to call it. It's up to you. You just have to remember the name to manage it from the command line. Go to the next line, 2 more spaces, and here we will give a command of build, and we'll specify the path to the current directory where the Docker Compose file is in. Build command will look for a Docker file to build it, and in the next line we will define what command do we want to run when the image gets built and the container gets up and running. From the previous video, we have used command python and hello.py to execute that file or the command in that file. We will do the same here. And that's it. This is the simplest Docker Compose file you could use. Let's try to build it. Docker Compose app, it will first look for the image, and if it does exist, it will look for the Docker file, and it will build it if it's not built already and cached, and then run it. That's what the Docker Compose command does. And if it finds that the Docker Compose file, if you are running it, for instance, the next time, it will not build it again. It will just use the cached one and execute it from the container. Let's see what's happened. Just because I have built this before, it went through and it just started my Python service or container, and it did execute that. We could see here hello from Docker container, and that's exactly what's in the hello.py. Let's open this with VS Code. Print hello from Docker container. So that works just fine. Then it did exit because there was nothing else to execute, and it's back to my local machine. Now, this is the simplest use of a Docker Compose, and this demonstrates how you could use dockerfile alone or as a service where you could control it in one line. And one more thing, let's add to this video to make it even more useful. What if you want to change what's in the Docker file here? Say print, say for instance message. Oh, that's a PHP syntax actually. Equal hello from Docker file. This is a new build. Okay, we'll print this time. And when we do this, we will have to rebuild the image that Docker Compose will use to show the new code, because if I simply just run Docker Compose up again, it will use the cached one, which shows the previous message. To get the new one, we will have to run a different command, which is Docker Compose build, and then we could do Docker Compose up again. After we build it, then now we see the new message. I'll show you a trick here, or a cool command that will do this in one command instead of two commands. Where we did the build and up, we'll do it in one command. We'll just change this slightly. We'll just say this is a second build. You could actually run just Docker Compose app -- build. This command will build the image again and we'll run it. Here we could see hello from Docker file. This is a second build. There you go. That's how it works. With Docker Compose, we have so many cool things we could learn, and we will get to them in the next, in the coming videos. We will do more of Docker files and Docker Compose. I really like to use Docker Compose whenever it makes sense, or if you have a big project that you need to manage multiple Docker containers, like one for the front end, one for the back end, or if you have a scalable project where your back end requires multiple containers, like a container for your Django project, and also you want a DB, you make a container for that, and you want, for instance, a caching server, you make a container for that, and all of these will be in a different services. For instance, we say Redis here and build blah blah blah. You could run all of these services in one command, and if you need to rebuild them, you rebuild them in one command, as you have seen here. So, and even beyond that, Docker Compose will allow you to do volumes and so many other useful stuff. We will get to them in the next videos. So this is a wrap up for this video. We went through really quick. Let's recap what we have done so far. It was a quick video about demonstrating using Docker Compose. It relies on the previous video. We have used the same Dockerfile and the same hello.py just to demonstrate how you could use Dockerfile alone and Docker Compose alone. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you need more description or in details video, please write a comment and I'll do that. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.